Okay, it looks like we're good. I'm going to double check Facebook. Sometimes that one doesn't connect right away. All right, we are live on Facebook also. We'll give it just a minute for some people to join us before we get started. Good morning, Dave. Thanks for joining us. All right, I'll start with my announcements. All right, so good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our network welcome. I'm Jamie Chavez. I'm the president and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And every Wednesday, we bring to you a live broadcast featuring one of our newest members to the Chamber to introduce them and give them a chance to talk to you about their business or organization. If you are new to the broadcast, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. I encourage you to like our Facebook page so that you will receive notifications for when we go live in the future. If you're on YouTube, you can hit subscribe, and then you can also view all of our previous broadcasts there as well. We offer broadcasts on Mondays as well, which are dedicated to city updates from our city councilors, mayor pro tem, and our mayor and other city officials. And these broadcasts offer a chance to hear what's going on down at City Hall. So we hope you tune into those also. And we also reserve the last Friday of the month featuring Jeffco Commissioner Tracy Kraft Tharp. So stay tuned for that broadcast last Friday of the month to be informed on broader county matters. As you watch the broadcast this morning, we encourage you to engage with us, drop your comments, ask questions, say hello, and we will get to them during the interview. And now a warm welcome to Ashley from Rocky Mountain Partnership. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me this morning.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Brian. Good morning. Awesome. Well, I'm super excited that you're on with us today, and I'm excited for you to tell the viewers and the membership about your organization. So we'll just let you jump right in.
Sounds great. It's an honor to be on this broadcast and be able to share a little bit more about Rocky Mountain Partnership for folks who may not be familiar with us. Just to give you the really high 5,000 foot level of who we are. Rocky Mountain Partnership is a group of decision makers and community members who are working together to ensure that every young person across our region, so our region includes City of Westminster and also the larger Adams County, City and County of Broomfield, City of Arvada, and City of Aurora. But ultimately, this group, which includes businesses, local governments, nonprofits, all of the folks around the table, are working to ensure that every young person is working towards upward mobility. And so we use things like data and bringing folks together around impactful large-scale solutions to help really ensure that we are doing better for our young people up to age 35. In our region, we have 123,000 young people who are not on a path to upward mobility, which is wild. And that has impacts for our businesses and our economy. We're talking about our current and our future workforces here. And so it's critical that we as a region really ensure that our young people are on those paths and meeting the milestones that they need along their journey. And so at the end of the day, we have set an ambitious goal for 2030. We're calling it our resiliency project or our resiliency goal of ensuring that 71,000 more young people are on a path to upward mobility. We actually have these cool little pins that some of y'all will get in the future, I'm sure, but they have our little 71,000 commitment goal. Special shout out to Neon Rain Interactive for donating these pins to Rocky Mountain Partnership. And so all that to say, we've got this ambitious goal, 71,000 more. And we know that if we achieve that goal, it's going to be better for our young people. It's going to be better for our community members. It's going to be better for all of the different players at the table, including our businesses and economy. And so there's a couple of ways that we do that. We really encourage folks to step up as regional target champions. Regional target champions are entities or organizations that essentially say, all right, towards that 71,000 more young people on a path to upward mobility, here's our piece of that 71,000 that we're going to commit to. And we provide them with data and technical assistance and other types of supports to make sure that they're able to claim that number. We're able to celebrate their progress towards that number so that in 2030, we can say, yeah, we actually did 71,000 more, or maybe we exceed that, which is kind of the ultimate goal, right? And so that's one way folks tend to get involved in Rocky Mountain Partnership. Another way is through high impact projects. These are, our CEO, Lysandra Gonzalez, says this lovely, but she calls these not your granddaddy's projects. So these are ways that different entities like businesses and local government can come to, and nonprofits and education, all the folks can come together alongside our community members, because we know that it's important to engage those who are directly impacted by the problems we seek to solve. And so they can come together around these projects to maximize their impact. I'll give an example of, for example, there's one project that's really focused on learning at work. And so we've got a small project team now, but it's ever expanding, focused on increasing the number of employers who are offering registered apprenticeship programs as a way to help build their talent pools. And we have some community members themselves, including a young person who's actually participating in a diesel mechanics apprenticeship, who are part of that team and thinking about the best ways to grow that number. I know that they're going to be hosting an employer reception to learn more about the opportunity. So stay tuned for that. That is headed to be on the schedule. But even if the work isn't where folks choose to engage, there are plenty other opportunities for folks to learn more about Rocky Mountain Partnership and kind of see what this collective network is all about. We host monthly Get to Know Us receptions. Our next couple of Get to Know Us receptions, they're very casual, very like, come learn about the work that we do and ways that you can engage, are being hosted. We have one that's coming tomorrow, which I know is a little last minute notice. It will be taking place from 4 to 5:30 p.m. at the Shed in Midtown. So not technically, this one is not located in Westminster, but many of them are. We try to move the location across our entire region. And then we also have another one coming up on June 26th as well. So we have got a couple of them this month. Essentially, they're just a great way to network with other folks, enjoy some beverages and snacks and appetizers, and kind of learn more from folks. You can find more information about the Get to Know Us receptions on our website, which is rmpartnership.org. That's rmpartnership.org. Kind of a weird website, but we have a lot of cool stuff on there for folks to know more about. We also are always looking for more folks to engage in the work, either stepping up as a investing partner and joining our Community Leadership Council, which essentially leads the work for this large collective group. We also have plenty of event sponsorships and other opportunities for folks to engage from that lens. And then we are just in the process of launching some volunteer opportunities for things like events, as well as to engage with our Civic Influencer program. Our Civic Influencers are young people ages 16 to 24 who receive training, mentorship, and a scholarship to make positive change here in our region. So they learn how to be civic leaders and to learn more about our region and like what the challenges are. But they also get trained to do things like voter registration and making sure that they're able to participate on projects like the one focused on apprenticeships. So there's always opportunities for things like mentorship, being a volunteer navigator, just coming to talk to these young people about what you do and what work you're doing in the region so that they can learn and have that connectivity. So that was a lot, but definitely, like, if you're interested in learning more about us, we've got the Get to Know Us receptions, and our website it doesn't have everything yet. It's in the process of being updated right now, but it has quite a bit of information there as well.
Awesome. And so how long have you been in organization?
Our organization has technically been in existence in some form or another since 2008. There was a group of stakeholders at that time, including the former Chief Judge, John Quick, and some other folks that came together around a school safety grant, and they kind of established it that way. And then in 2011, 2012, they incorporated as a nonprofit and adopted the framework that we use. We actually are part of a larger national network. There are 70 other communities like ours across the US who use data and facilitation and convening and community engagement, the flavors of technical assistance that we provide. And so technically we've been around for a while, but I will just say like in the past couple of years is where this collective network has really found its momentum and put out this ambitious 2030 strategic plan and this ambitious 71,000 goal. And so it's a new era, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe can you share like a positive success story or a way that you have impacted the community or an individual or a family?
Absolutely. I think the one that most folks know about or have maybe heard murmurings of is the 27J schools mill levy override in Brighton. In that school district, it was one of the least funded school districts in property tax dollars across the entire state. It has moved to a 4-day school week, as many folks are familiar with. It's actually one of the largest 4-day school weeks across the entire nation. And one of the opportunities was they are doing the best with the resources they can. And how do we also bring more resources into our community so that our young people can have what they need to thrive? And so we really tapped into the young people in our community who grew up in that district, who were alums, who grew up a part of this larger region. Like we have a couple who grew up and currently live in the city of Westminster. And so they kind of came together. We talked to the school district and like, look, like you guys have a ballot measure that you're going to move forward to try and increase funding for the district. We know that that's so critical for young people to have upward mobility and is going to translate into other impacts or businesses in the larger economy. And so our young people, they started talking to other young people. They talked to other community members in languages and messaging that they can understand. Because sometimes, I'm sure you've read on the ballot, some things are a little confusing to like kind of digest and be like, what does this actually mean for me as like a homeowner, for example? And so they started doing that. They did interviews on Spanish media. And ultimately, it was all about like just getting the word out about why increased funding is such a need. We have a tool called a youth policy impact assessment. And so our young people did focus groups and talked to folks, homeowners, parents, community members, like what is going to be the impact if this passes on me? So that they could then go out and really articulate that. And so with all of that, combined with the incredible efforts of the district and all of the incredible volunteers who worked on that campaign, we were able to support them to pass their first mill levy override in 22 years. They hadn't passed previous measures. And I know that also that campaign, we knew it was so needed. And like one of the unintended consequences is things like property taxes, right? And so like, how do we navigate the impacts that that's going to have? Well, the city of Commerce City, who is part of the school district region, basically their city council like stepped up and was like, we will cover that increase for folks, homeowners in the region. So one of the things that we are most proud of is this huge win in being able to pump $17.7 million annually into the school district who did not previously have those resources, and doing it all with the partnerships of businesses, community members, nonprofits, like all of the folks at the table led by our 16 to 24-year-olds is pretty dang cool. Yeah. We're going to be engaging in some similar efforts this fall for some ballot measures. One of them will be focused on raising some additional funds for Westminster Public Schools. And in particular, they are building a innovative career and technical education campus called Rain Reimagined. And so that campaign is really going to focus on that. Other things for the district as well, but like that'll be kind of the central move around raising some dollars for that campus.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Maybe you can tell us like who are your major partners, who's really helping move the needle here?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question. There are so many folks involved. Our larger network is led by an executive committee, which includes We have 2 civic influencers, which is our youth, who are represented on that. We have the former superintendent of 27J schools, who is now in Brighton City Council, Dr. Chris Fiddler. The superintendent of Adams 12 5-star schools, Chris Godowski. We have Raymond H. Gonzalez, who is the president of the Metro Denver Economic Development Corporation. We have Dr. Jenny Gatto, who is the new superintendent at Westminster Public Schools. We have Peter Lafari, CEO with Maker Housing Partners. Will Pierce, the new superintendent of 27J schools. Randy Roberts, who is the president of Triple Peak Ventures and also on Rocky Mountain Partnerships board of directors for like the nonprofit side of our work. And Cami Welch, the president of the Arvada Chamber of Commerce. And so we've got a little bit of different players. That's the executive committee. And then above and beyond that, we've got folks from local government, for example, City of Westminster. We also have City of Westminster's Economic Development Division. So Lindsay Kimball is on our Community Leadership Council. We have other players from folks like higher ed, like Front Range Community College, that's located here in Westminster. We have some additional housing authorities, nonprofits like A Precious Child, Almost Home, Adams County Education Consortia. We have Anything Libraries. We have Adelante Community Development. We have Kids First Healthcare. We've got Denver International Airport. Adams County Regional Economic Partnership, going by AC Rep now. We've got the Health Department, mental health, behavioral health, larger healthcare. We've got CareerWise Colorado on the apprenticeship side. There's so many folks across the board that are part of this movement. And increasingly, we're seeing more and more business and economic development engagement. We have some CEOs from businesses like KeyClean, formerly known as the Key People. We have Heidi Williams with the Metro Mayor's Caucus and Civic Results. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of folks coming to the table, and we're excited for the continued ongoing engagement and further bringing in additional folks into the fold to help.
Yeah,
massive.
That's awesome. That's so many. There's so many people there. That's so many people at the table to help. So that's amazing. What role do all of these community partners play in the various projects, and how can new partners get involved?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So at the end of the day, these folks are all part of the Community Leadership Council, which means essentially they have the opportunity to really shape what this collective's priorities are and where they focus. And so they all identify either themselves or other representatives from their organizations to serve on high impact projects. We have several high impact projects currently. I mentioned the one that is focused on increasing opportunities to learn at work, but we have some additional ones focused on other areas as well. For example, we have a high impact project focused on education and career guidance. So think like expanding navigation. And we're really leveraging there a couple of different pilot opportunities to help move folks into the workforce with the skills that they need. Leveraging CASA of Adams and Broomfield County's volunteer model, but thinking about it as a career and workforce guidance pilot, as well as a tool for Mainstay that they have. We have another high impact project focused on re-engaging learners who did some education or skills training, but didn't quite finish. And so re-engaging them, that's in partnership with the Colorado Opportunity Scholarship Initiative. We have high impact projects focused on increasing public education funding, which is where the campaign with Westminster Public Schools and also Adams 12 5-star schools this fall come in. We have some focuses on career ladder maps. So how do we map out the skills that folks need and like at what juncture they're able to get them and who's providing those skills? And then what are the employers that are offering the positions that need those skills? So doing a little bit of matching there. We also have a high impact project focused on increasing the number of sites where skill training development is happening, including at employer sites. The Radom Reimagine campus that Westminster Public Schools has been renovating and is going to soft open this fall is like a big part of that project of ensuring that there's all these employers at the table really articulating the skill sets that they need and how do we like match and mold the skills training that happens at that campus for both K-12 learners, but also adult learners after hours so that our employers have the workforce that they need right now and the workforce that they need into the future. So that's one example of how they engage. The other way that folks engage is by stepping up as a target champion. I mentioned this before, but this is where they really get ambitious and claim they're part of the 71K as an organization and get the support that they need to make that happen, whether it be data or otherwise. We currently have 5 target champions, and the list is ever growing. Westminster Public Schools is one of target champions. I actually had the opportunity to meet with them last week to help them identify their part of the number. They're like confirming it on their end, so I can't publicly say this is how many they commit to get. But just know that's going to be very exciting when they finalize that number on their end. And then the other ways that folks learn more and engage is by simply showing up and learning more. The Get to Know Us receptions are a great way to get the 5,000 foot level with those clear calls to action of how you can engage. Becoming an event sponsor or a corporate investor in this movement is always needed to ensure that this collective, we all can move forward and create the workforce of today and tomorrow together. So that's always an opportunity. Joining that community leadership council where you have the opportunity to help shape what these projects need to be. And then we haven't done this in the past, but are really also starting to move towards volunteer opportunities for folks who are looking for just another way to get engaged, whether it's a one-time commitment, this one time for an event or something like that, or something ongoing, like being a mentor to one of our young people. So
awesome.
Yeah, a lot of ways to engage.
Yeah, plenty of ways. And how does Rocky Mountain Partnership measure the success and impact of your initiatives? What parameters or how are you measuring success?
Absolutely. So we really think there's a lot of things that go into what does it mean to be upwardly mobile. As part of our national framework that we follow, we are really looking at some evidence-based milestones from a data standpoint that help us understand what upward mobility look like. So for us, those are kindergarten readiness, 3rd grade reading proficiency, 8th grade math proficiency, high school graduation, enrollment in some kind of skill training or education program. It does not have to be your typical 2- and 4-year degrees, because we also know that there are other ways to get the skills and education that folks need to enter the workforce. Getting some kind of skill, credential, certificate, whatever that looks like, and then employment at a good wage. So thinking about not only it's not just enough to be employed, but also like how do we ensure that folks are on a pathway to upward mobility within their jobs and careers, and continuing to gain those skills to earn a wage that allows them to support themselves and their families. And that is ultimately going to benefit the employers that they have there through ongoing productivity and reduction in turnover and things like that. And so at the highest level, we kind of keep an eye on those metrics. Those metrics are how we came up with our 71,000 goal, how we understood that 123,000 young people are not on a path to economic and social mobility, upward mobility. But we also look at a variety of other things because there are so many things that impact that. Things like the labor market, things like our educational situations like public education funding, health and mental health, social and criminal justice, basic needs like housing and food security. So we actually track all of this data in what we call our Rocky Mountain Partnership Scorecard. You can find it on our website at rmpartnership.org. It's one of our several tools within Rocky Mountain Partnership's data hubs, which provide our partners with the data and information that they need for this region to help make those decisions, set those goals, and ultimately hold accountability to impact.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you. And I'm just interested in how you got involved in Rocky Mountain Partnership and what keeps you motivated in your work. Because you're obviously very passionate about it. You're very knowledgeable. How'd you get here and what keeps you going?
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't think this was ever a career that was like out there. I grew up in Greeley, Colorado, but moved to the Adams County region about 7 or 8 years ago. And one of the things that was interesting for me is I actually got connected to Rocky Mountain Partnership back when it was one of its old names, before we kind of evolved over time as an intern. So I was brought on as a youth engagement intern. And the whole idea was like, how are we going to like bolster how we engage with young people in our region? And so it was just supposed to be a 3-month internship through the Denver Foundation nonprofit internship program. But our CEO, Lysandra, decided, okay, she liked what she saw, so she kept me on. So I've now been with Rocky Mountain Partnership for 7 years as of June 12th. So been here for the long haul. We've had a lot of evolution, which has been very exciting. I think what motivates me is I'm almost 30, so I'm still part of the age group that is kind of directly impacted by that. And so I think what's motivated for me is my lived experience being a first generation college student, growing up in poverty, seeing what this collective group of not only community members, but businesses and economic development and local government and folks that have that power and influence coming together alongside each other is really dang cool. And it's super effective. And it's not something that I got exposed to, but seeing the magic and the power behind that and how it can actually make a difference for not only young people like I was growing up, but also just our larger community and economy has been just what keeps me going. I am fortunate enough to, as of March, get to really work closely with our civic influences, which is our young people, and seeing a lot of myself and some of the experiences that they've had has really been, and seeing just the amazing things that they are doing has been a key motivator for me. Yes, I am super passionate. There's a lot of things that keep me going in the work. I could talk for hours probably about all of that, but I think at the core, like what we're doing is the recipe for success. It's evidence-based, it's proven. This framework has been externally evaluated by a firm called Equal Measures. We know that it's having an impact. We have wins under our belts, and we're seeing all of these stakeholders who typically kind of stay in their own realm come together and make big change, not only around programs and services, but at the policy level, how funding is distributed. That is super powerful. And so getting the honor to be a part of that has been the ride of a lifetime so far.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your work anniversary. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Do you have any personal goals for your role at Rocky Mountain Partnership?
My role has evolved so many times just in the time that I've been here, but it's always had some of the core features of there's some kind of connection to community engagement. There's some kind of connection to information or data, and there's some kind of connection to ongoing coaching and development. So, I mean, for me, I really love the vast amount of different things I have the honor of supporting a team around, including data. I also support our policy work, our community engagement work, and our training and development work. And they're all like very different, but also like smoothly fit together somehow. And so I think for me, just continuing to try and do the best that I can to support my team, who they're super rockstar awesome. Well, our entire team is super rockstar awesome, especially the ones I get to work most closely with. So continuing to support them on their leadership journeys and their development journeys, and seeing them really take things on and be out and about and like changing, shaking things up in this work is amazing. I think the other thing too that I've learned during my time here that has been part of my development is just how important those relationships between all these different stakeholders are, and the importance of having employers and business and economic development at the table alongside local government and education and nonprofit and community members. My background is in community organizing. I used to do like nonprofit voter registration, issue campaigns, and I also used to work with high school students around community issues that they cared about to do things around. And that was amazing work. It's super important, very grassroots. And what this role and this journey has really introduced me to is the kind of both and approach that I think we don't really think about, is connecting the grassroots to the tops and like filling in that middle space of where everybody can kind of come together and move forward as one. So that's the other thing. I just want to continue to help our partners and support them in everything that they're doing, where we can make that connectivity with community.
Yeah. Well, it's super important work that you're doing. We're excited to be involved. We're very glad to have you in the chamber, and I linked to your website earlier so people know how to get a hold of you. But thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks everybody who stopped in to listen. And I hope that everybody has a really good rest of your week.
Thank you so much. We're honored to be a part of the chamber.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good rest of your week.
You too.